So Art Nouveau was a lasting revolution in thought and design. You see its influence right up to the present day with people like Joel Rosenthal, the maker of jar jewelry, and others. So let's get started. Let's do it. So it's always helpful to sort of back up a second and say, all right, what was Art Nouveau revolting against? Well, Art Nouveau was really revolting against a counter-reformation. For those of you who don't know, in 1849, King Louis Philippe abdicated the throne of France and fled to England. There were revolutions, a second set of revolutions that swept across continental Europe. And then the nobility reestablished their dominance. And in the early 1870s and to the mid 1870s, you really see this in the jewelry. What you see here in Archduchess Maria Christina of Austria, and around her belly, you see she's wearing the stomacher brooch. You're seeing just this enormous display of wealth and power in very, very conservative styles. And the conservatism of the styles was a way of saying, we are part of an unbroken line of nobility that goes back to the Greeks. And actually the bow and tassel that you see on the right side of the screen was owned by Empress Eugenie. It was recently bought by the Louvre for a bomb of a price. But look what it is, it's bows and tassels. This is something you'll see in Greek architecture going back to the 3rd century BC. So they were not doing anything new. And in fact, they're doing quite the opposite. But it's really fun just to think about this poor woman and the corset that she was wearing. I mean, God, no wonder she's not smiling. She probably couldn't even breathe. But she's
poor might be a stretch of a word, considering are her buttons like?
Yes, her buttons are diamonds, everybody.
Diamond.
Those buttons are like 8, 10 carat diamonds. She's wearing diamonds on her wrists. She's wearing the stomacher. She's wearing diamonds around her neck. She's wearing diamonds in her hair. Not a single other color. So again, very conservative, very much about power and prestige. And that's what you would expect from a royal. And really, there were very few royals who were interested in Art Nouveau. Now, at the same time that this was happening in Europe, this was happening as well. This was the age of archaeological discovery. Really, the whole 19th century was. 1799, you have the Valley of the Kings first in Egypt, first starting to be visited and investigated by the archaeologists of Europe. And they disgorged their treasures, and you're starting to see something like that, like on the top right with the faience necklace and the Egyptian revival piece that you see in the corner. But then the other two pieces are Etruscan revival. The large gold necklace was made it has marks from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but the mosaic piece is done by the famed Italian jeweler Castellani. And it's important to note that prior to the unification of Italy by Garibaldi, Italy was a series of warring city-states, if you will, with different languages, different customs, different economies. And when they were unified, they needed a national myth. And Castellani himself was very nationalistic, almost jingoistic. And he actually felt that he was making a political statement with every single piece of jewelry that he was making. And he talked about this extensively, that this was how Italians should view themselves as heirs to this great Etruscan world. Now, at this time, it wasn't just this also that was going on. There was also this. This is the Great Wave off of Kanagawa by Katsuhiro Hokusai. Now, this is actually from the 1820s. And why am I showing you this? Well, at the same time that Garibaldi was unifying Italy, Commodore Perry of the American Navy was opening up Japan at the end of a gunboat, but opening it up. And this extraordinarily sophisticated culture, which had been relatively closed, especially to the Western world for decades, if not centuries, all of a sudden disgorged its beauty to us. And they were things that the Western eye had never seen. There's this extraordinary flattened perspective that you see here, where yes, Mount Fuji's in the distance, and yes, there's this big wave, but it looks like it's all happening without perspective. And that was done on purpose. Now, it wasn't just this flattened perspective that you start to see as interest. It's also this actual piece that gets almost copied in the next slide. Isn't that amazing, Lynn?
I
you
love
can almost see the sea foam on this ring by Marcus, and you see they use little bits of blue enamel to give you the sense of the water, and then obviously this gorgeous sapphire is the main part of it.
It's so interesting to see these side by side too, and to really see, as you say, this cosmopolitan influence like converging in jewelry.
Yeah, and Marcus is American. It's a German emigre. His two American-born sons, if you will, really make the company, the famed company that it is today for connoisseurs of Art Nouveau jewelry. And we promise we will get back to it.